Hello, Adam, MidPointe Library's Digital and Special Collections Archivist here. In today's video, we will be covering the history of the various high schools of the Middletown City School District. The Middletown High School was chartered in 1849, 12 years after the Middletown City School District was formed, yet the charter went unused for 22 years. Finally, in 1868, plans were made to build a school building large enough to accommodate Middletown's educational needs. With the new building planned, the first high school class formed the same year. Construction of this new school began in 1871 and finished in 1872, resulting in the Union School. Located at what is now Old South Park, South Main Street, 4th Avenue, 5th Avenue, and Yankee Road, the Union School was a 3-story building with 12 rooms, one for each grade level. The Union School, renamed the South School when the East/Central School opened, served as the home to the high school grade levels until 1908, when a new standalone high school was finished. After the high school grades moved out, the South School was used as an used for elementary grades. In 1951, the school closed and then reopened in 1952 as the Bishop Fenwick High School. 10 years later, in 1962, Bishop Fenwick moved out. Finally, on April 23, 1965, the school burned down. Presently, the site is home to Old South Park and the Robbins Fountain. In 1906, a bond levy campaign for a new high school passed, and 2 years later, in 1908, a new high school building was opened. The new 14-room standalone high school was located at 455 3rd Street, but you may better know it as the Middletown City building located previously at 1405 Central Avenue. The building was used as a high school for only a brief period of time, though, from just 1908 to 1923, as a bigger high school was swiftly needed. The relatively quick construction of an even newer high school was due to the exploding Middletown population, which grew from 9,213 people in 1900 to 13,152 people in 1910 to 23,594 people by 1920. After the high school grades left, the building housed primary grades. On April 24, 1931, the building was reopened after being repurposed as Middletown's City Building, replacing the original City Building located at 25 North Broad Street, which had originally opened in 1880. Now with the address of 1405 Central Avenue, which had changed in 1922 when many of Middletown's streets changed names, the building would serve as the City Building until 1977, when the city government moved out and into its present-day location. The building then sat empty until January 8, 1984, when it caught fire. Demolition of the building then began in February of 1984. To build another new high school and additional school buildings, Middletown again passed a bond levy. This time, it was a 20-year levy passed in 1919. The new behemoth of a high school was constructed on a plot of land between 1st Avenue, Curtis Street, Baltimore Street, and Gerard Avenue, addressed at 1415 Gerard Avenue. Completed in 1923, the school had 55 classrooms, a lecture room, and 2 large study halls. The school was also equipped with many state-of-the-art amenities for the time, with the first gymnasium in the school system and a large auditorium that seated 1,300 people. Total construction cost was over $1 million and was one of the most expensive schools constructed in the state at the time. In 1952 and 1959, additions were made to the school, with the 1952 addition adding 10 classrooms, a library, and adding seats to what was then the Wade E. Miller Gym. The building was home to the high school until 1969, at which point it became the freshman high school. Things carried on this way until 1981, when the building was renamed the Stephenville Middle School and used to house the middle school grades. The school was used until 2018, when it was permanently closed. On September 26, 2018, demolition work began. While in use, the building was home to 7 state men's basketball championship teams. By the 1960s, Middletown was entering another era of expansion. The population was 31,220 people in 1940, 33,695 people in 1950, and then 42,115 people by 1960. The rapidly growing population led schools to become overcrowded. To help address the issue, a $7 million bond levy was passed in 1964, and a plan was developed. The plan called for the reorganization of the entire Middletown City School District system. As a part of the plan, a new standalone high school on the east end of town would be built, known as the East High School, and function alongside the Gerard Avenue High School, which would become the West High School. Upon scrutiny from the Department of Education and Welfare, predecessor to the Department of Education and the Department of Health and Human Services, the plan was rejected due to violations of federal laws and constitutional concerns. Under the proposed plan, the new and modern East High School would have been made up mostly of white students, while most of Middletown's black students would have ended up at the old West High School. Additionally, Middletown's black student body would have been primarily segregated to one of the three new middle schools. This location-based segregation was a result of explicit and implicit racist housing policy, which saw Middletown's black population concentrating in only a select parts of Middletown. A new plan was developed that led to the construction of a single new high school housing grades 10, 11, and 12. The Gerard Avenue building became the freshman high school, and the rest of the system was reorganized so that the elementary schools housed grades K through 5 and the middle schools housed grades 6 through 8. To accommodate the expected increased student body, several additions were made to the original plans for what was going to be the East High School, and the original grand plans for the building were scaled way back. The new Middletown High School, located at 601 North Brielle Boulevard, opened in 1969 and housed 75 classrooms. In 2014, voters funded 2 tax issues for the construction work on the school. With additional money from the state, a $98 million construction project began in 2017 and finished in 2018. The new school was revamped, and a new middle school was added to the same site. Finally, we leave off with Middletown's other high school, the Lemon-monroe High School. As mentioned earlier, the Lemon-monroe School District and the Middletown City School District consolidated on October 10, 1954, with the Middletown School District absorbing Lemon-monroe. What would eventually become the Lemon-monroe High School was originally built in 1912. Over the years, many additions were made to the building, and it grew in size. In 1949, a major addition was made, forming the foundation of what is more recognizably the Lemon-monroe High School. In 1953, a third floor was added, and in 1968, the last remnants of the original 1912 building were torn down, as well as a portion of the 1924 addition. The renovated building would continue to serve as a high school for the Monroe and Lemon Township area in 2004 when a new building was constructed. However, this school won't be covered because on March 7, 2000, the voters of Monroe and Lemon Township approved the creation of a separate school district. The new Monroe Local School District went into effect on June 30, 2000, separating the Monroe schools from Middletown. So that concludes our videos. Thank you for joining me today, and make sure to check out our other local history videos. For more photos and information on the local schools of the area, check out MidPointeDigitalArchives.org. Have a good day. Check out MidPointeDigitalArchives.org. Have a good day.